Welcome back into LPS, and we continue with the hockey talk. Joining me at the Roundtable, Brett McMillan, Alex Ferrario, and Ben Holtmeyer. And guys, we're talking Blues hockey right now in the midst of a series with the Chicago Blackhawks, and it's been a very physical series so far. A little bit too physical for your liking?
No. Crazy question. No, that's kind of what everybody expected in this series with the Blackhawks. I mean, the rivalry's gone for over 40 years against these guys, and it's just going to get nastier, and everything that we've seen so far and everything that we're going to see in the future with this series is just going to keep amping up the energy and the anger with these guys.
I like it. I think it's exciting for playoff hockey. There was, 5 to 10 years there where the Blues were kind of the nail and the Blackhawks were the hammer. So the rivalry fizzled a bit. It's back now. I like that. It is a little too physical in some of the hits, some knees getting stuck out, obviously guys going in, on both sides too, if we're going to be fair. Guys going in, elbows up, sometimes they've made contact, sometimes they haven't, and obviously that's led to some other extracurricular off-the-rink activities, which I'm sure everyone's familiar with. But yeah, it's playoff hockey. The rules are really different after April 1st compared to before April 1st, and so you're playing under those rules, it's part of the game.
With the fourth line being as productive as they have, Cracknell, Reeves, and Porter, actually Reeves being bumped up a couple times, but still, do you like what you're seeing out of the fourth line, and are they kind of emulating what the Blackhawks have done to have success in the last few years?
I think so. I mean, throughout this regular season, you've seen guys that probably should be on your third and second line on the fourth line, just because, I mean, this lineup has so much depth to it, the fact that, I mean, you have to fill as much as possible, but Hitchcock talked a lot about in the regular season about how the fact he loved Porter and Cracknell, how they've been doing in the minor leagues, and he brought them up, and I mean, those guys came out with oomph and something that they needed for that club on that fourth line, and you see that with the Blackhawks player. They have a lot of role players on that team that know what their role is. Porter and Cracknell are those guys. They know what their role is. It's going out there, finishing your checks, hitting hard, and getting pucks when you need to, and both those guys have very crucial goals in this series.
Yeah, and he's 100% right. I mean, you're getting them limited minutes, obviously, just because of their role, but it's really important in the playoffs. The margin for error is so razor thin, because we're talking one-goal games usually, that your fourth line, when they're out there, they can't make mistakes. They got to be on the same page. So he's right. I mean, that experience in the minor leagues plays into that big time, and it helps them not get beat in a situation where they're on the ice.
Let's talk about one guy that's not making many mistakes, Vladimir Tarasenko. Just one game last year in the 6-game series against LA. He's come out on fire this series.
Yeah. I mean, could you expect anything worse from the guy? I mean, he sat there on the bench with Hitchcock last year in the playoffs kind of watching, and you'd see it a lot where he just kind of let him know what to do, how to play. I mean, this guy doesn't have that much NHL experience, but, I mean, it's gotten to the point now where if you're the other team's fans, you're nervous when he has the puck. Anytime he brings it into the zone, I mean, we've seen it a lot so far this series where he just picks the right spot on the net to shoot it. He'll go around any defenseman. He knows what to do with the puck. Something that the Blues haven't had for a really long time, since Brett Hull, where you have a legit goal scorer. Rather, you have a couple players who are two-way players. You got a defensive forward like Backus and Steen, or Oshie, who's kind of a playmaker. You have a legit goal scorer that people are nervous when he has the puck.
Yeah, for finisher, it's a huge deal in the playoffs. I mean, we've seen it a couple times throughout this series. When the Blues need a goal, they've got that guy to look to, and they haven't had it, like Alex said, in a very long time. And I would offer that if the Blues played this series a year ago against this same Blackhawk roster, you would say, okay, well, they've got Taves or they've got Kane. Who's the Blues' answer? A year ago, you said, well, there's guys on the roster that could be eventually, but they're not right now. No, right now, the answer is Vladdy Tarasenko, and not only does he have the potential, but we're seeing it put into action.
He's only going to get better, and the thing is, he's so good at disguising his shot, is that he can get the puck to just roll up to the farther part of the stick, and he disguises it so the goalie can't even see it when it's coming. He doesn't know where it's going to go. And I think that's the thing that stands out for me with Tarasenko.
Yeah, just 22 years old. He's only going to get better from here. All right, guys, let's say this. Outside of, obviously, we know we need the captain, David Backus, back. But outside of getting Backus back, what's the one thing you see the Blues need to do to win this series?
I think it's going to be playing smart hockey. I mean, I know that's really cliche right now, but there have been this has been it's been a close all series so far, but it's going to stay close the entire. I mean, these are two very similar teams in everything that they do, and you just have to play smart, strategic hockey. Your defensemen need to make sure don't get out of hand with it. Don't try and take some guy out just to take him out. You got to play your area on the ice. You got to play strategic hockey, and we've seen it a lot. You can't let Chicago's offensive players kind of pull you into what they want you to do. You have to play your type of hockey. Hitchcock is a defensive-minded coach. He knows how to play this game. He's been here before. Just stick to the game plan. You've done it already. You've broken records this season so far. Just stick to it, and you're going to come out on top.
Keep calm in Chicago no matter what happens. Even if you lose, you have to play a composed 60 minutes, maybe 60 plus of hockey in Chicago. It's the Madhouse on Madison for a reason. You're going to get rattled. There's people hanging from the rafters. You have to stay calm, and if you don't do that, it could bode badly with the momentum in this series.
I think it's going to be interesting just of how more physical the game could get when Backes gets back, because that's going to be one of the guys that the Blues are going to be watching, trying to protect. And if the Blackhawks go after him, it's going to get even more physical than what we've even been seeing the whole series.
Could throw a wrench into the series. I'm going to say, maybe a couple more soft goals by Corey Crawford. How about he lets up a couple of those? We'll finish on this note, guys. Say the Blues do get past this series. Is this going to be their toughest series on the road to the Cup?
I think so. They've said it plenty throughout. I mean, it's a cliche again. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. Chicago has been in the finals the past 2 years. They won last year. They came from behind when they were down 3-1 and beat Detroit. So, I think once you get past this round, it's not going to get easier. You're only going further into the playoffs. But I think you just knocked off the Stanley Cup champions from last year. You knocked off probably the best offensive power team in the league. So, maybe your momentum's a little higher. Maybe you're a little higher on yourself going into the next round, and your players are ready to go. And, maybe you're going to get some healthy players back. I mean, it's been banged up all season, so.
Yeah, I'm tempted to say yes because of the emotion and because of the rivalry, but it seems like in playoff hockey, you get to a new series and it takes you about a period and a half to start hating that other team. It's funny how it works, more than any other sport. I mean, you really just develop animosity for that opponent. So, I don't know. I would like to think so, but the thing about the NHL playoffs is it really is so long and so drawn out. It's 7 games every time. You're normally pushing to 6 or 7. So I think that no matter what happens, it's going to be emotional. It's going to be hard the rest of the way. There's no easy series en route to the Cup.
Keep in mind, though, the other team's going to be just as banged up as you are after that first round. Colorado and Minnesota, who are playing right now, I think they're going to go 7 games too. So they're going to be just as banged up as we are. So it just gets more and more tougher the next series and all the way up to the finals.
Let's hope that continues for the Blues and they can get by the Chicago Blackhawks in this round. It's going to do it for LPS this time out. Thank you to Brett McMillan, Alex Ferrario, Ben Holtmeyer, and Blake Whiteside. I'm Michael Sprague. Thanks for joining us.